Hello and welcome to your weekly aircraft global market update. It's Sunday, September 3rd, 2023, and we're going to continue off with last week and take a look at where the aircraft market is at. If you enjoy these videos, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share them so that more and more people can see these. We're really looking to build and create a community where we cooperatively share with one another purchase agreements, acquisition prices, anything we can, try to get more transparency inside of this aircraft market. Think of it as being similar to like a true car, true value for aircraft. That's what we're trying to create. So without further ado, we'll continue just like we did last week with just kind of a basic overview of the news and overall sentiment in the market. Basically, things are still the same. Turns out Fed is not going to raise rates this month. That is a pullback from their hawkish stance at Jackson Hole. We had a couple of folks comment on the fact that they may not be raising rates this next month, but November they probably will. So that's a little bit of a boost for markets. But then there are lots of folks saying, hey, the worst is yet to come. And so recessions being predicted, housing markets crashing, banks being distressed with treasury bills and bonds that are coming due to basically refinance at now higher rates, and all that is going to create a lot of downward pressure on the market. The tax cuts, once again, we're at 80% bonus depreciation going to 60 next year. The 100% from last year is gone, so companies cannot depreciate what they could last year. That's also going to create some downward pressure. And yeah, global economy, there are still fears that the entire global economy is going to head a recession. And that is why we're seeing metals rise. And to add insult to injury, in addition to the pilot shortage we discussed last week, mechanics. We're having a real hard time finding mechanics in the aviation industry. And we're missing probably a lot more of them than pilots. So all that's going to create issues for general aviation overall. Now, here's our weekly graph that we like to show what's happening with the inventory. And why we created this channel is because there's just no transparency. It seems that every website or service out there is very much geared towards sellers and protecting sellers, but not actually giving buyers information. For example, you go to acquire a house or look on realtor.com or Zillow.com, you can see the past history, how many times that home's been listed, what it's sold for, what taxes were paid on it, and when it was taken on and off the market, whether the price has gone up or down in value or they adjusted the price, whether it went under contract or not. All of that visibility, all that transparency is lacking in the aviation market. Controller is the website that everybody uses, and so we're going to share our opinions today as we review the values of aircraft from our own historical basis and knowledge from acquisitions and also from our contacts. But more so, we're trying to, over time, create the transparency that doesn't exist in this market. And then when you go to look at, say, Blue Book type entities, VREF, and I think Controller's coming out with their own as well. Again, this is our opinion, but we feel that a lot of these are biased. They get their information from calling brokers and saying, hey, what did you sell your last few aircraft for? And it's verbal. They don't have to prove anything. The brokers can say whatever they want. Individuals can say whatever they want. A lot of these survey companies gain information, but anyone can say whatever they feel like over the phone. And so the data is not real. So I'm trying to create this channel for buyers, specifically for buyers out there. Hopefully sellers will gain interest in it as well, because heck, it gives their aircraft more visibility. But for now, I really want to reach out to buyers. I want information from you. I want to form a cooperative. What did you buy and sell your last 10 aircraft for? Send me your purchase agreements. Post it in the comments section. Let's add that data to this, especially if it's within the last 6 months, so we can create true and real transparency for other buyers. All right, without further ado, let's get into this. So we are now at the highest level of inventories I have ever seen for aircraft. It's quite substantial, 4,679. It's just growing and growing and growing. And I've been watching this for a long time. It's just been growing since earlier this year. So It's quite amazing, and I see nothing but downward pressure here as things are continuing to increase. Cessna 172s, we got 14 on the market, up 2. 182s up 1. Cirrus SR22s, 281 of these for sale, and this has just been the same week after week after week. TTXs, 10, not moving. One additional Piper Meridian came onto the market. This, we weren't tracking all TBMs before, so this is an error from last week. I don't actually know the change or delta, so we're just going to start with 45 and move from there. The Robinson Raven 2, 62 to 57. Bear in mind, too, when there are so many aircraft on the market that sometimes listings expire, and they either don't want to pay the money to controller to continue that on, or they simply expired and forgot about it. So bear that in mind, that sometimes this might not all be sales. It might be no sales, or it might be all sales. We don't really have any visibility on that because controller does not give us that kind of visibility. 48 down to 45 on Robinson R66s. Same story. Might not be any sales. Might all be sales. Bell 505s. These are so rich and expensive. It's hard for me to believe 3 of them sold, but who knows. 18 to 20. Bell 407 inventory increasing. Augusta 109 Grand 18 and not moving. Bell 429, 6 to 7, market going up. Cirrus Vision Jet, look at this average, 35, 35, 35, 35. Why from 39 down? Did they really sell, or did listings just expire? I would guess that at least some of those listings just expired. Mustang, same thing. I spoke with some folks, and I know for a fact that a couple of these listings expired, and the brokers have told me that, hey, we're just going to let things hang out for a little while and put it back on the market later and make it look fresh. So you might have some sales here, or you might just have some listings that have expired. They're going to wait for a different market. Phenom 100s, 28, 26, 26, 30s, just averaging right at 28, stagnant, not a whole lot moving. Honda Jets increasing in inventory, not moving at all, 21, same as last week. Citation M2, did they sell or listings expired? These, I believe we might actually have some movement, and we'll explain why once we get later on in the video. There were actually a couple of fairly reasonable prices there on M2s. CJ3 pluses, market's just sitting right around a dozen as always. I believe we did maybe see one of those move as well. And again, either a listing expired or the one that moved happened to be a reasonable value. Maybe it actually sold. We'll show that later in the video. CJ4s increasing in inventory up to 16 now and not moving. And look, once you get to $8 or $9 million jets with a minimum of 4,000 pilot domestically, but I think the number is more like 20, 30,000 worldwide pilots short. Now we're short mechanics too. Interest rates are through the roof. How many folks are out there in line to buy an $8 or $9 million jet? The answer is not very many. And that's why we're seeing, look, NetJets buys and these charter companies love Phenom 300s, and they keep dumping red and black older Phenoms onto the market. And so Phenom 300s are flooded. They're still being sold at a very, very high premium. We'll look at that later. And of course, that's why we see the market not moving at all. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on and see what we got next. All right, this is the jet inventory. It appears if it's moving down, it appears that we are actually having some sales if we go back to the 24th and we see this trend moving down. But the numbers are so small, I have to believe that some of these are simply expired listings, and some of them might be a sale or two. We just don't know. All right, let's take a look at the helicopter inventory. Remember in last week's video, we said, hey, we weren't tracking this earlier, so disregard this. We're kind of starting around here. So with all the graphs that just show a massive spike like that, take a look at that. And again, we see this trend down here. Do we really believe all those are sales? I don't think so. I think we're going to see some of the aircraft pop back up in the market. Brokers, owners may have forgot to relist them. And so we'll see them come back online here pretty soon. But yeah, of course, maybe a couple crazy people bought some aircraft at really ridiculous prices. Because at the end of the day, right now, ladies and gentlemen, the prices are just ridiculous. And let's see, I'm going to drag this down. Sorry, it looks like I wasn't videoing the whole screen, and hopefully now we will. Okay, let's see here. What do we got? Increase in TBMs. Again, that might have been an error. Otherwise, stagnancy in your single engine inventory market. So not much to report there. Now, this is our valuation sheet. We're just going to leave this on the market, or excuse me, on the screen for a second, so you can come back to it. You can always pause and rewind the video. So this, you will notice, is the changing numbers. This would be an aircraft for 500 hours, and we threw 110% for inflation because in the last 3 years, we've had some inflation. We think some of it's going to be corrected with the downward pressure we see in the economy, but right now, we feel pretty comfortable with somewhere in 110 and 115% inflation. The thing is, we don't want to pay 15% inflation. We don't want you to pay 15% inflation. So we believe the value, probably the end all value after everything, after the dust settles, probably somewhere around 110%. Over here, we have 1,000 hours and 110. And then again, our opinion historically is that CJ4s and Mustangs were once hard to get rid of. And so we reduce those prices by about 10% of the valuation that we come up with. Now, our next screen here is going to be 1,500 hours. That's a really common sweet spot for used aircraft and 110% inflation. That's why this graph's really, or excuse me, this chart's really big. And so what you have up on top in the blue is our estimated new pricing for the aircraft. We think people probably actually paid less than this unless they added a bunch of options. They paid less than these numbers because these were manufacturer suggested retail prices. And look, we can't get all of this data. So some of it we had to guess or interpolate. So again, this is opinion. We're doing our best to try to create values here. But I will tell you, judging on last week, we had some slam dunks because the only things that may have moved are the things that we said may be a reasonable value. Nothing else we said is a bad value has moved. So that means I think we're onto something here with this pseudo calculation that we have come up with. And basically, it's premised on, historically, in looking at these aircraft, we have found that, okay, a Mustang will depreciate to about X% of its new value. An M2 might be Y% of its value. Every type of aircraft seems to depreciate to a point, and then it just holds the line from there. That's why an M2, hey, look at this, no matter what year you see, seems to not go below a certain number. Now, of course, if you were looking at a 2014 versus a 2017 online, you're going to see a little delta between the two numbers. We just don't really see them go much below those numbers. But every aircraft is different. And then we add an inflation adjustment. We add an hour adjustment. Sometimes the annual depreciation beats out the time adjustment. Sometimes the time adjustment beats out the hourly, but that's what these charts are all about. They're getting better and better over time. As we get more and more data from you, that is going to help us make this reference, true valuation of an aircraft be more real and hopefully more accurate than some of the biased companies out there that do this for a living and charge for it. This is just free. We're doing our best to give you the information that we have. One change to the calculation from last week to this week is we actually, once something hits 3,000 hours, we don't want it. We know you don't want it. So we created an additional hit to aircraft once they hit 3,000 hours. And so in our spreadsheet, we might review a couple aircraft that has 3,000 or more hours, and that further reduces it below their depreciation baseline bar that normally it wouldn't go below. And that's just because, again, we don't want a 3,000-hour airplane. I don't think you want one either. Okay, continuing along, this is, let's see, the 15% inflation adjustment with the same numbers. 500 hours and 15%, 1,000 and 115%. And then we'll go to the next page, which is the sweet spot, which we see online for used aircraft, 1,500 hours and 115% or 15% inflation. Again, I don't really want to use these numbers because I think you could probably acquire an aircraft for that now, but I think they have room to fall because of some of the economic down pressures that are coming ahead. So again, you can come back to this, you can pause, rewind, whatever. We're going to continue on and get into it. All right, so we're going to start with a Mustang inventory recap. All right, from Sarasota, Florida, airplane IQ. This is November 510 Kilo Foxtrot, 3,000 hours. We don't want it. You don't want it. It kind of hit its baseline, probably worth around 1.8 million. And at 2.1 million, it's at a 16.3% premium. No change in the listing price from last week. No change also in November 1 Romeo Golf, which is our favorite Mustang that is on the market right now. 1,845 hours, decent amount of hours. It probably hit its bottom line about $1.8 million and a 27.5% premium. Now, why are they asking that for this aircraft? Because it has new paint and interior and a Garmin NXI. And the new paint and interior is gorgeous, but that is offset by the fact that this thing has, I don't know, $400,000 in deferred program fees for the engines and whatnot. And so that to me counters the additional investment they have put into the aircraft and brings us right back down to like a $1.8 million aircraft. If those programs were paid up, yeah, I could see 2.1 maybe, but they are not. And so I don't really give a lot of credit for the new paint interior and Garmin NXI that's in there. Okay, big premium, 28.8% on a 2008 with nearly 3,000 hours. I don't want it. You don't want it. 2.255 on the list, probably worth, in our humble opinion on all these. This is our opinion. Aircraft Global Market Update, fair market value. This is from that spreadsheet that we're creating. Our opinion, probably worth about 1.75 million. Will you see it? I don't know. Depends on what happens to the economy, but that's what we think it's worth. All right, 2008 Citation, 2.05 million with 2,530 hours. That's again a lot of hours, 17.1% premium, probably worth about 1.75 in our opinion. A 2007 Mustang, 2,095,000 with 3,700 hours. I can't imagine anyone buying this, but if they are, maybe 1.6, and we're just guessing at this point. 3,700 hours is a lot. We're going to call that a 30% premium. Now let's take a look at this. Why is this next one green? Because, ladies and gentlemen, we might have a reasonable value here. Unchanged from last week, what we came up with for a 2008 aircraft with 2,662 hours is somewhere around 1.725. That's only because it has less hours than this aircraft up here. And we graded that around 1.75. So 1.725. And look at this, listed at 1.795. That is a 4.1% premium. It's the lowest premium of anything on here. And hey, new price reduction. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in this aircraft, I would love to bring it back for you from the United Kingdom. We're more than happy to fly over there, pick it up for you. We do ferry pilot operations. We can help you with this transaction. Let us know what we can do to help in the comments, and we can go from there. But if you're interested in this aircraft, from what we can see in the Mustang market so far, it is the only reasonable value out there. Okay, continuing on to the M2 inventory. Look at this. We got a price reduction. These guys know they're too rich. 4.2 million on a 2017 aircraft with 808 hours. We value it at 3.4 million. That's a 26.8% premium. They know they're rich. They're starting to come down on price. This was higher last week. The plus sign means it's a new addition. The X means it's gone. The listing expired. The broker pulled it. The owner pulled it. Or maybe it's sold. Who knows? But let's continue on with the new addition over here on the right side. Interesting paint job. Don't know if I love it or don't love it. But 2017, 4.5 million. That's just funny to me. We're close to new prices on these things. 268.9 million. Time. We give it about a $3.45 million valuation, 32.3% premium, real rich. 2016 Citation M2, 4.25 million. This is November 933 Romeo Golf with 989 hours from Coons Aircraft Service. Unchanged over last week, 28.8% premium if you like our valuation of 3.35 million. And if they want to sell that aircraft, they need to get much closer to that number. or somebody silly who is irresponsible and, in our opinion, and has way too much money to throw away, may purchase it. And there are those people out there. They come along every once in a while. Just want something so bad they don't care what it costs. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. We actually have a green listing here, something potentially reasonable. A 2021 for 5.15 million with 450 hours. This is November 916 Juliet Lima from Prime Aircraft LLC. It's at a 5.1% premium. We value this aircraft at 4.9 million. So what you're going to notice with the M2s is the newer aircraft are closer to a reasonable value, and the older aircraft, this one's 6 going on 7 years old, is probably could have been produced in 2016, so could be going on 8 years old, with almost 1,000 hours already. You know, people are asking premiums for this, and it doesn't make much sense to us. Historically, these aircraft depreciate much faster and more aggressively than what these people are asking for. And the proof that, hey, maybe we're right is the fact that these aircraft are not moving, not selling. But this one right here, decent value. Okay. And again, if you're curious and wanting to know about new or used prices, remember, you can go back and take a look at the blue area and see, okay, a 2022 new on an M2 is maybe 5.8, 4.5 for 2016. Again, those are estimates, but we think we're pretty accurate. And so that's just something you can go back and reflect on. All right, 2020 here, 4.9 million, November 925 Alpha Alpha, 417 hours from Eagle Eye Aviation. Hey, Eagle Eye, look, this is gone. Why is it gone? It's green. This was listed at 4.95. We estimate its value around 4.75. I'll bet you it sold for somewhere in the middle. That was a decent value. Look at this, another green one. We say this one was worth probably around 4.75 million. This is a 2020 with 585 hours, an M2, November 774 Juliet Tango. It was listed at 485. They probably maybe sold it for 475. QS Partners, good on you. That was a reasonably priced aircraft there for the vintage. Okay, last page of M2s here. 2019 Citation M2. This one we know is historically listed at 4.825 million. That's a 13.5% premium over our recommended fair market value of 4.25 million. That is, let's see, 663 hours, and it doesn't look like we got an N number on this aircraft. 2018 Citation M2, 4.695. This is November 689 Kilo Mike. 630 hours from OCR Aviation in Long Beach. We value this aircraft at about 3.4 million in the near future, we believe. That's a 38.1% premium. That's a hard no, hard pass from us. 2016, this one is gone. Maybe it's sold. Maybe the listing expired, although it does say sale pending, so we have to believe it's sold. I do believe that price came down over time a little bit, I think. We valued around 375. It was listed at 395. Maybe they met somewhere in the middle. Maybe they got full price. Maybe that's one of those crazy people with too much money I was talking about before. Again, apologies. This is just our opinion. But our opinion is backed by historical. We've moved a lot of these aircraft. We've flown a lot of these aircraft. We know family, friends, acquaintances, business partners that move all the aircraft that we're talking about here. And so we're only posting and created mathematical calculations for what history shows and standard deviations from history. So we feel we're pretty accurate. Maybe times are changing. Maybe they're going to stay changed, but we believe that the evidence shows aircraft are not moving, the market's pushing back, and that it will return to historical norms of standard appreciation. All right, on to the CJ3 inventory. We just got one page here. This is registration 2-Tango Echo Alpha Mike. That's 2 team. 2,150 hours, a little more than we would want to buy something for. 7.95 million is the list. They just reduced this 200 grand from last week. It's down to an 8.9% premium. Once it drops into the single digits on premium, we mark it green because, hey, maybe with some decent negotiations, you can close that gap. We estimate a fair market value of around 7.3 million. Maybe you could meet in the middle somewhere around 7.5, 7.4. Who knows? This next one, a 2015 for 7.7 million. 750 total time on the hours. We don't have an end number, it looks like, on here, but they reduced it by 100 grand over last week. It is still at a 20.3% premium, moving in the right direction, but still well above what we believe it's worth, which is about $6.4 billion. Especially, let's take a look at what this would have been new back in 2015. Let's see, and how many hours did that have on it? 750. Okay, so let's go to this schedule. 2015, brand new, that would have been 8.05 million. So, yeah, you know, it's an 9-year-old aircraft with 1,000 hours on it. It should have depreciated $1.5 million or so, or more than that by now. All right, moving along. 2018, November 9, or maybe not November, 9 Hotel Whiskey India November, 1,500 hours, right in that sweet spot. And look, hey, this is green, 7.8% premium. We fair market value that around 7.4 million. Good on you, Textron. You've been listing stuff at crazy prices lately, absolutely loco, but you're starting to come to planet Earth here. Really appreciate that for the rest of us buyers and analysts out there that want to be a part of this market and are just waiting for sobriety to return to sellers. Again, apologies for the opining here, all opinion. All right, this one's gone. Maybe expired, maybe it sold. Maybe the listing was pulled. 7.5 million, 3,500 hours. Who would buy this for 7.5 million? I'm sorry if you did. You got, in my opinion, a terrible deal from Monaco. 6.1 million's our value, and I would not buy a 3,500 hour aircraft. That's just me. 2014 CJ3, beautiful paint job on this aircraft from Jet Effect in Long Beach. November 6 Bravo. Bravo has been on the market for a while, 1,800 hours, just above the sweet spot. This was listed at 7.795 million, which is 29.6% over ask. We believe this aircraft is worth closer to 6 million. And that is it for the CJ3 Plus market. Phenom 300, just 3 aircraft worth talking about. Lots of call for prices. Hate it when people do that. They make you give them a phone call so you can get into their database, which people would just have a little more transparency and just list it out for everybody to see. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you have called on aircraft, if you know what they're selling for, post it in the comments. No one's telling you it's private information or confidential. Put it out there so we can get into these videos and bring transparency to this market. 2014 Embraer Phenom 300, they listed 8.695. This is November 454 Tango X-Ray, 1,700 hours. We believe that's about a 28.8% premium. The Phenom 300 market is nuts. I don't know what these folks are thinking. There's so many of them. We think this thing's worth 6.75 million. And a 2014 Embraer Phenom 300, $8.1 million, November 585 Papa Charlie from Summit Aviation, 3,600 hours. Who is going to buy this? Who is going to pay $8 million? Let me tell you, somebody who has $8 million is a very well-to-do, wealthy businessman, entrepreneur, you know, something of that regard. Status is a little bit important to them. They don't want a probably 11 to 12-year-old aircraft, if this is actually made in 2013, with an older Garmin 1000 system inside of it for the avionics, heavily used. No one wants to pay $8.1 million for that. You're going to be lucky if you can find a guy with $6.1 million to buy that. And a guy who has $6.1 million equally wants something a little newer. And so just like yachts, these things plummet when they get this old. No one, I don't think anyone's going to pay this. I hope not. And the 2013 Embraer Phenom 300, 6.95 million, 4,000 hours. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. You're done. Bye-bye. I don't even know how to value something so old, but I'm going to say 5.9 million. Maybe you could convince somebody in the fives to buy something with over 4,000 hours on it from 2013, heavily used. I think this is 16.8% premium minimum. I would not be a candidate for 5.9 million. No way. All right, moving along. What's our next market here? Okay, CJ4. this market used to be a toxic market. I mean, back in the day, 2016, 2015, you could find CJ4s in the $4 million range because no one could get rid of them. They depreciated so hard, like yachts no one wanted. I think it's going to come back. It's a Proline 21. This is not an owner pilot type of aircraft with avionics they put in here. It's a pro pilot type of stuff only. And if you're pro pilot, why wouldn't you want to use a Phenom 300? Because that's what all the other charter companies are using. They got a better looking ramp presence, in my opinion. Phenom 3000, or excuse me, Garmin 3000 on the newer ones. You know, again, I think these are going to become toxic assets again. Newer listing here, 8.65 million. This is serial number 0183. And 1,800 hours, just over the sweet spot. We believe this is a $6.45 million aircraft. After all, it is 8 to 9 years old, well used, 34.1% premium. These premiums are even more insane than the Phenom 300 premiums. From Jet 360, 2016 listed at 9.85 million, 658 Alpha Golf, 798 hours. I don't know what kind of stuff they're on over there, but you know, it's pretty good stuff. 42.4% premium. In our opinion, this is a $6.9 million 7 to 8 year old aircraft. And then there's a 2013, 10 to 11 years old with 1,500 hours. Mike Sierra, Sierra Yankee Sierra. Very well used over in Switzerland. 23% premium. We value this, our opinion, 6.1 million at best. So yeah, don't think those are going to move until the market, till those prices come down. But I could be wrong. Maybe these aircraft are selling, things aren't expiring, and they're just people out there with lots of money that want really heavily used stuff and don't care. I don't know what the answer is. All right, so we're going to now play this video here. And this is literally just to take a snapshot of the market. So this is us reviewing the controller listings. Right now, we're in here on the Jet, and we're going to be reviewing a few pages of Jet listings. You can pause and rewind this video. We're just putting this in here to create a snapshot so we can go back and look at, wait a minute, did that aircraft sell, or was that aircraft there last week? What was the price on it? And we want you to be able to do that too. So consider this like the internet archive of walking through and reviewing and reacting to controller listings. And so that's where we're at. We're just going to kind of let this go through. We're going to page through the Jet listings here, and then we'll continue on to the, I think the helicopter listings are next. And then after that is the fixed wing, you know, just small aircraft, single engine, piston and turboprop type of aircraft. All right, so we're gonna go on quiet mode here and just let this play out. All right, now we're on to the Augusta Grand, the 109 here, and we're going to continue processing the video here, letting it play out so you can look at the helicopters we have here. I think we have the Bell 505, the 407, the 429. We have the Augusta 109 Grand, the Robinson 44 and 66. And that may be it. I don't think we have any other aircraft that we track in the list. These are the most popular aircraft out there. All right, and on to our last page, which, or our last grouping of aircraft. Like I said, it's going to be the single engine piston and turboprop aircraft. We have a lot of different aircraft in here, 172s, 182s, SR-22s. We have Piper Meridians and TBMs, every model. There's quite a lot of aircraft in here. So take a look at, oh yeah, the TTX2, the Corvallis TTX. So again, we're going to go through this list very quickly. Hopefully it doesn't blur in your version, but this is just a snapshot so that you can see what aircraft were on the market this last week of August, first week of September, and what the prices were listed at. This is once again us reacting to, reviewing, commenting, and our opinion on the aircraft that are currently listed out on Controller's website.